Good morning, children. Welcome to your English online class. Online learning may be new and different for us, but it also allows us to learn in a supportive atmosphere in these times. Today, I will teach you a poem from New Images. Chapter 2. Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore, Who Doesn't Shut the Door. Before we read the poem, let me introduce the writer. William Brighty Rance was a British writer. He was born in West London. He was the son of a small shopkeeper and did not have access to education. It was out of the habit of reading at second-hand bookstalls that he gained knowledge. He was renowned as a poet of nursery rhymes. His work was published under various pen names such as Henry Holbeach and Matthew Brodie. Some of his famous poems are Great, Wide, Beautiful, Wonderful World, Topsy-Turvy World, and The Cat of Cats. Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore is a poem about a boy named Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore who has a bad habit of leaving the door open. It is a nonsense poem, which is a form of poetry in which imaginary characters are placed in funny and strange situations. Usually, nonsense poetry has words and phrases that are made up and are quite meaningless. However, this poem is not entirely meaningless and has a message on manners. The lesson that I am talking about is you always need to be responsible. I can say this because the story is a boy who never shut the door, and at the end he was scared by the people and told him that they will send him to Singapore. So he closed the door. If he didn't do it, as it said in the poem, this might have happened, for the plague is sore and would continue. Even if it is nonsense that he always needs to close the door, it is still very important. Let's recite the poem together. Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore. No doubt you have heard the name before. Was a boy who never should shut a door. The wind might whistle, the wind might roar, and teeth be aching, and throats be sore. But still he never would shut the door. His father would beg, his mother implore. Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore, we really do wish you would shut the door. Their hands they wrung, their hair they tore. But Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore was as deaf as the boy out at the north. When he walked forth and the fox would roar, Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore, why don't you think to shut the door? They read up a shutter with sail and oar, and threatened to pack off Gustavus Gore on a voyage of penance to Singapore. But he begged for mercy and said, "No more, pray do not send me to Singapore. on a shutter, and then I will shut the door. You will, said his parents. Then keep on shore. But mind you do, for the plague is sore of a fellow that never will shut the door. Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore. Now let us recite and understand the poem Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore, Who Doesn't Shut the Door. Let's recite first stanza. Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore, no doubt you have heard the name before, was a boy who never would shut a door. So, what's the name of the boy? Yes, Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore. What is he known for? He is known for a bad habit of leaving the door open. So, Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore is a boy who has a bad habit of leaving the door open. Here, poet says that maybe few of us are familiar with this boy's name and his character. But really, the poet means to say that we might see lot of people who are not responsible in their life. Let's move to second stanza. The wind might whistle, the wind might roar, and teeth be aching and throats be sore, but still he never would shut the door. Here, the poet says, even if the door is open and chilling wind enters, his teeth may aching or he may cause cold, but still he never closed the door. Let's recite third stanza loudly. His father would beg, his mother implore, Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore, we really do wish you would shut the door. Here we can see Godfrey's parents were keen to make him aware of his responsibilities and also be well mannered. His father was requesting, his mother was begging that he should shut the door. Now move to stanza 4. Their hands they wrung, their hair they tore, but Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore was deaf as the boy out at the door. Here the poet says, sometimes when the parents become so much annoyed or so much troubled by Godfrey's behavior, they used to twist their hands tightly and pull their hair in distress and disgust. But whatever happens around him, he was like a lifeless floating object. Now turn the page. Recite the fifth stanza together loudly. When he walked forth and the fogs would roar, Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore, why don't you think to shut the door? So sometimes when he moved out of his house, the villagers also started asking him the reason for not shutting the door. Yes, next stanza, sixth stanza, okay. They rid up a shutter with sail and oar, and threatened to pack off Gustavus Gore on a voyage of penance to Singapore. Here the poet says that his parents made a large boat using the materials which they got and threatened to send him off on a long journey as punishment to Singapore if he does not shut the door. What do they threaten to do if he does not shut the door? They threaten to pack him off on a voyage of penance or punishment to Singapore if he does not shut the door. Now, seventh stanza. But he begged for mercy and said, "No more, pray do not send me to Singapore on a shutter, and then I will shut the door." Here we can see a poor child who begs for mercy, implores his parents not to send him to Singapore, and promises to shut the door. What is his reaction to the threat? He begs for mercy, implores them not to send him to Singapore, and promise to shut the door. Now the last stanza. "You will," said his parents, "then keep on shore, but mind you do, for the plague is sore of a fellow that never will shut the door." Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore. So here the parents says to Godfrey that stay true to your word and keep your promise. What was his word? He will shut the door. They also made him understand that if he broke his promise, he would be punished by them. Because now they didn't want to hear that Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore never shut the door. So let's revise the poem. The poem is about a boy who never does the work assigned to him. The boy named Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore never shut the door. His father and mother would plead, request, and order him to shut the door, but he would always keep it open. It was only when his parents decided to give him the punishment of sending him to Singapore that he says that he would shut the door from that time onwards. In a broader perspective, the poem focuses much about human nature. As humans, we always delay and do not give importance to certain things. At a time when punishments and penance come to our way, we start to acknowledge the work and start to do it. Now, let me teach you new vocabulary. Wrung, held tightly and twisted. By an object that floats on the sea to mark an area. Rid up, made something using objects laying around. Shutter, a large boat. Penance, punishment. Keep on shore, stay true to your word. Plague is sore, a rumor that is spreading quickly like a deadly disease. Shall we learn interesting terms? Godfrey Gordon Gustavus Gore uses several figures of speech to beautify the poem. What is figure of speech? A figure of speech is the use of figurative language to further explain a concept. One of them is alliteration. What is alliteration? Alliteration is the repeated use of the same consonant sounds. For example, Godfrey starts with the letter G. Gordon again starts with the letter G. Gustavus, you can see the letter G. Gore, that also begins with the letter G. So, the words sounds with the same sound. The repetition of same consonant sounds is known as alliteration. Alliteration, it is a kind of figure of speech. I hope you understood the poem. Take care, be good, and spread happiness. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.